ज्ञानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सिद्ध्यानां हयग्रीवं पास्महि। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी श्रीवेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि। कवितार्किकसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिनी श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः। रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं। श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवं यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम्। एवं सर्वेपि रुचिरा श्लोकाः எல்லாமோ பாவபூர்ணங்களான ஸ்லோகங்கள். ஆனால் கொஞ்சம் பேருக்கு ராமானுஜ-தயாபாத்திர ஸ்லோகத்தை விஷயத்திலே ദ്വേഷം ഉണ്ട്. എങ്ങനെയെന്നിൽ അവൾക്ക് സത്യത്തെ ജീർണിക്കാൻ സാമർഥ്യമില്ലേ, പ്രാമാണികതയില്ലേ. അപ്പോഴത്തെ അവർ വ്യക്തിയെ അവളുടെ ദോഷത്തെ ഗുണസ്തുതി പണ്ണാൻ പിന്നെ കാട്ടപ്പോകുകയും. I'm not very good at Tamil, therefore let me speak in English. So some people hate the rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra shloka for whatever reasons, because they can't digest the truth. They're not sufficiently honest. We'll examine the work of one such person. That this person is Sri kAnchI Prativadi Bhayankara aNNangarAchArya Swami, AchArya, I think. He was a genius. Having studied the Divya Prabandhas in childhood, after the age of 40, he studied the Vedas. Because of others' criticisms, it is said, at the age of 40, it's not a simple thing, memorizing the Vedas at that age. He simultaneously studied the Samhita and Padapathas of Krishna Yajurveda. And he was such a genius, he was able to write with both hands. A friend's father witnessed this in person. Left hand, right hand, writing two different things in two different languages, Tamil and Sanskrit, on two different topics. Amazing, right? Such a great person. Throughout his life, he was involved in Adhyayana, Adhyapana, Grantha Prakashana, publishing of books, magazines. He ran a magazine in multiple languages. He was proficient in multiple languages, Tamil, Sanskrit, Telugu, Hindi maybe, I think, because he wrote in Hindi, it seems. So, overall a genius. However, not a honest person in every case. In many important cases, he was very dishonest, and we're going to prove it to you today. And why are we going to do that? Because, let me quote his own words in the beginning of this book, which proposes to show that the rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra shloka is a modern innovation, invented just to create trouble in temples. So let me read out his statement. So this is a copy of his book, which was published in the year 1954. All right, please keep that in mind because it's important. And he says, we entreat our readers to really interested in the subject and desirous of knowing the truth to kindly go through the following pages patiently from beginning to end. Sir, I have done that. I have read each and every word, examined it, and I am going to present you the flaws therein, just as you requested. And you see, why am I doing this? Because just like you, I claim to like the truth. In your case, it is an empty claim. In my case, it is an honest claim. I'm going to show how. First, let me quote your own words. While writing this book, we have been continuously reminded of the proverb that speaking the truth begets many enemies. Yatharthavadi bahujanadveshi. The Dharma Shastras also lay down that the truth must be told, but not if it hurts others' feelings. But still, we had to disobey this command and write this book, which might perhaps hurt the feelings of certain people. Which people is very clear. And how reticent he is here is in contrast with how eager he is to gloat about certain things. We'll see later. But our purpose is not to hurt their feelings. Syndicto sirs, my purpose is not to hurt your feelings, but only express the truth. Exactly my feeling as well. Because an occasion has a reason. We felt it necessary to let the Sri Vaishnava world know the truth that this verse, which was concocted for the sole purpose of creating troubles in temples, is not even 2 centuries old. So this is the first lie we are going to demolish. And how are we going to do that? By showing incontrovertible, publicly verifiable evidence. And what is that evidence? You see, there is a edict in maisUru. Mysore kingdom was ruled by the Udayars for many centuries. And in the year 1649, an edict was issued. And what was that edict? Let us look at that edict. Right? So the edict is this. It was issued by a king called kAnchI Narasimha-Odayar. And there was another king in the year 1709 where the Samvatsara matches, but he was an infant, a little boy, deaf and dumb. He could not have issued this order. And his minister was a Tenkalai person from Melukote. So that doesn't match at all. So the year is 1649 where kAnchI Narasimha, probably his grandfather, reigned. And this was his order. It is in very simple Kannada. ಮೇಲುಕೋಟೆ ತಿರುನಾರಾಯಣ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಯವರ ಸನ್ನಿಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲಾದ ಸನ್ನಿಧಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಬಂಧಾನುಸಂಧಾನಗಳು ದೇವರಾಯನವರ ಆರಭ್ಯ ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ತಾರಯ್ಯನವರ ದಿವಸದವರೆಗೂ ರಾಮಾನುಜದಯಾಪಾತ್ರ ತನಿಯನ್ನು ಆವ ರೀತಿಗೆ ನಡೆದು ಬಂತು ಈಗಲೂ ಇತಿ ಅಸ್ತಿ ಪರಂತು ಈಗಲೂ ಇತಿ ಪಠನೀಯಂ ಈಗಲೂ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಗೆ ರಾಮಾನುಜದಯಾಪಾತ್ರ ತನಿಯನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಬರುವುದು. ಸೊ ಹಿ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್ Ramanuja-dayA-patra, the shloka which this gentleman claims to be not even 200 years old in 1954, which means it should have been composed after 1754, is in fact known to be quite ancient in the year 1649 itself, based on this edict of maisUru, which he himself refers to very dishonestly. Why this villainous hatred for honesty or truth, I don't know, but he himself refers to this edict and misrepresents it, misquotes it. And it is clear that whatever he says is a lie, according to this very evidence. You can look at this evidence. For example, let me dig up, where was it? Records. Okay, here it is. So this is the sanad, and it is in the archive URL is here. You are welcome to examine it. And there was a further edict in 1783 by the Tipu Sultan and Shamayya pair, and that too says the same thing, Ramanuja-dayA-patra, and it says that Sri Shaila-dayA-patra saha nadedu baruva hage ನೇಮಕ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ iti. So this particular edict, which is the later date, asks for both to be recited itself. Ramanuja-dayA-patra and Sri Shaila-dayA-patra ಸಹ ನಡೆದು ಬರುವ ಹಾಗೆ ನೇಮಕ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಕಳುಹಿಸಿ ಇದಿತ್ತು. Okay. So it's clear that Ramanuja-dayA-patra is not a 200-year-old invention. It is quite ancient even at that time, 1649. And it was the sole dominant verse which was being recited during Divya Prabandha Parayana. Okay. So what does, that is error number 1. Error number 2 is that he claims that disputes arose and the Tenkalai's petitions to the Mysore state authorities and the authorities there, etc., etc. What he says is, we do not understand which is old and which is an innovation, but whoever raises objections leading to disturbance will be punished. This is entirely false. So you must understand that this statement, which he claims to quote from the order of the Mysore royal court, doesn't occur in any of these two edicts, right? Two sonnets or two nirupas. We do not understand which is old and which is an innovation. No such statement exists. It is obvious that rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra is the older shloka in that region. And what is the evidence he quotes? Well, he says that these incidents have been noted in some detail in a Kannada book, and that is our source for the above. God only knows what this unnamed source is. It's very convenient to misrepresent a clear order and put the blame on some unnamed book. Rather fishy, isn't it? So this is error number 2. Alright, so what we have seen so far is that the claims by aNNangarAchArya about the rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra shloka being only 200 years old or not even 200 years old is false. I suppose he must have seen the Tipu Sultan Sanat and led himself to believe some weird things. But however, the Narsaraja Kanthirava Narsaraja edict makes it clear that it was already ancient by the time of the edict, which was 1649. And he's also he's been shown to misrepresent what was in the edict. There was no admission that we don't know which is ancient, which is novel, or anything like that. The also notable is the fact that the source he has used is not named. All errors are conveniently blamed on an unnamed source. God knows why. Okay, so the next error is that periya parakAla-yati. So there was a parakAla-matha is very prominent matha in MISURU. It was founded by the disciple of Sri Vedanta Deshika, Venkatanatharya. His disciple Brahmatantra Yati founded the parakAla-matha, and it eventually moved to Mysore, where it was the center of scholarship, great scholarship. It helped Brahmanas of all sects keep up their traditions and knowledge. And it was the royal preceptor to the MISURU rulers as well as the rulers of Reva and some other principalities. So it was a major center of learning and Brahmakshatra framework. Now, a stalwart of this particular matha was someone called periya parakAla-yati. So this person is being slandered by let me see, where did it go? This person is slandered very badly by Prativadi Bhayankara aNNangarAchArya based on no evidence whatsoever. Zero evidence. Zero. See, let us look at it. Look at that. Okay, where is? Okay, here it is. So he says that parakAla-yati initially did not know Divya Prabandhas at all. There came once upon a time a person from Melukote who gave pravachanas about the Divya Prabandhas, and at the invitation of the Maharaja, because parakAla-yati did not know any proper Divya Prabandhas. parakAla-yati listened to him and he was very attracted by it, and he started writing a Vyakhyana for it, where he disagreed with the Tenkalai commentators but took the good parts. And supposedly he was so enamored by it that he decided, okay, we should start chanting the Divya Prabandhas as well, and we should enter the goshtis of these Divya Prabandha Parayana Kartas who happen to be Tenkalais. And therefore I will cook up shloka, the rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra shloka, and we will use it to claim that we also recite the Divya Prabandhas and enter their goshtis and recite the Divya Prabandhas. So this is supposedly his plot, and he entered some goshtis, made some noise, and then he tried to spread it in other places. He visited kAnchI, and he supposedly cursed Tatacharya, uh, and he tried to force him unsuccessfully to take up this new taniyan and so on, this new shloka, which he had forged and claimed to be old. Uh, so, uh, this is the story presented by none other than our dear aNNangarAchArya, based on zero evidence, pure speculation, and malice towards a great learned person. However, this does not make sense. It does not make any chronological sense. How is it so? So you see, periya parakAla-yati was reigning in the Matha from 1677 to 1738, whereas the edict we already showed is in the year 1649. So that was like how many years? 28 years before he even became the parakAla-yati. And it was already ancient by that time. It was from the time of Devaraya or something, right? And his father. So it was already ancient by that time. It was not a creation of parakAla-yati. It was not propagated by him, as this dear gentleman claims. Therefore, this is his error number 2. Error number 3. I already counted 2 errors. Error number 3. So this is in the error category of verifiable lies. These are lies you can objectively verify. There can be no dispute about it. Right? So that is error number 3. Of course, there is a philosophical error. You're not, as a Bhagavata, you're not supposed to do Bhagavata-apachara. You're not supposed to slander Bhagavatas, which is what you have done. If you say, as a matter of fact, he was wrong about this and that, based on this and that evidence, that is acceptable. We are happy to accept that. However, with no evidence, with just conjecture and cock and bull stories, you have slandered periya parakAla-yati, the predecessor of the very person you claim to adore, abhinava-ranganAtha parakAla-yati. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It is also, therefore, bad achara. You are setting a bad example to your disciples. So that was error number 3, and a philosophical error, a practical error associated with that. And then there is the claim that it is not found in any manuscripts. The rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra taniyan is not found in any manuscripts or printed books relating to Divya Prabandhas or otherwise. It doesn't hold up. Let us look at that claim. Alright. So, all the Tamil works of Jeshika, like his Sanskrit works, are available in palm leaf manuscripts and in printed volumes. In each and every one of these books, both Tamil and Sanskrit, we to this day do find the original Sriman Venkata Taniyan written in the beginning. The new Patra Taniyan cannot be found in even a single book. This is absolute rubbish, which we'll prove shortly. But let us look further. Let us explain this more clearly. To begin with, take the case of palm leaf manuscripts. The Government Oriental Library in Madras has quite a large number of manuscripts collected from various sources at various times. Any member of the public is welcome to visit and make use of them at his will and pleasure. The officers in charge of the library are always ready to help visitor get the book he desires, and so on. And we make this assertion after having inspected many libraries in places such as Melukote and MySUru. So what is the quality of this inspection? We'll see shortly. So Vedanta Deshika's Sajjana-vaibhava is a text which has the rAmAnuja-dayA-patram taniyan in it, and it is available in the GOML Madras library, which he mentioned himself. Okay, Government Oriental Library in Madras. Sir, in that very library, with access number SD2255, D5395. You will see Sajjana-vaibhava beginning with rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra taniyan. So therefore you have lied. You have made a false statement. You have misled people. Let me, just to emphasize, show you the scan of this thing. Okay, here is the manuscript, Sajjana-vaibhava, passed on to me by my friend Sri Ravilochanan Nayangar. And these are all the details on the screen here. And you see, it's in Grantha script. You can zoom in and supposedly you can read rAmAnuja-dayA-patram taniyan in the beginning. Alright. So, this claim by Prativadi Bhayankara aNNangarAchArya is being proved to be a verifiable lie. Alright. And then he claims that there is no worship or adoration of vaDakalai acharyas or vigraha-s in shrines. It is untrue. Well, there is Vedanta Deshika. There are other acharyas such as Lakshmi Kumara Tatacharya and Krishna Tatacharya, who are very much adored in their shrines to this day. And what about Pillan or someone else? I don't know. Well, important acharyas are indeed adored in temples and outside temples. So that too, which you have claimed in this text, is a lie, a verifiably false statement. Okay, just for the record, here is the place where he has made this particular false statement. Further, in the category of verifiably false statements, I include his very bizarre misinterpretation of parAshara-saMhitA. So in the class of other falsehood, I would include a torture of a simple shloka which occurs in parAshara-saMhitA as to the nature of the Urdhva Pundram. So, you see, common people, they think that the major difference between Tenkalais and vaDakalais is the shape of the tilaka they draw on their forehead. Is it Y-shaped or is it U-shaped? So that's the question. So some people say that the tilaka should be like this, as shown on this rAmAnuja figure. Starting on the bridge of the nose, a U-shaped thing. So that's what we see, for example, here. This is the vaDakalai symbol, the tilaka. Whereas the Tenkalais think that it should be like this. And the common misunderstanding is that this is the extent of the difference between Tenkalais and vaDakalais. They are idiots. They fight only because of the shape of the tilaka on their forehead and on the shape of on the tilakas on the deities' heads and so on. It is not true. There are significant philosophical and ritual differences in the sects. Sorry. So you see, this is the difference he is talking about. And one pramana he tries to misinterpret is this one. Nasadau dvyangulam padam. Okay, let me read out the shloka. Nasadau dvyangulam padam madhyam sardhangulam bhavet parshvavangulamatrau suspashtam dharayet dvijah. So what is the simple understanding? Simple understanding is that pada means a foot. And it's very, very common knowledge that the Sri Vaishnavas put the foot of Vishnu or the feet of Vishnu, not a trunk or root or something else, just the foot of Vishnu on their foreheads, signifying their being dasas to Vishnu. So padam means foot. Whereas what does he interpret it as? He interprets it as root. How weird. The root of a tree, vrikshapadha, not vrikshamulam or something. Vrikshapadha is what he is using. He tortures the text like anything, just to make it say what he wants it to say. Alright, so he says that nasadau dvyangulam. Okay, tilaka can't be two finger widths long only. Who is saying that it has to be 2 finger widths long? Okay, so it is rather saying nasadu. In the beginning of the nose, it is 2 fingers, 2 finger widths big. All right, and madhye sadhe kangulam. So in the nasadi, it's this point. It is 1.5 fingers wide, or even in the middle 1.5 fingers wide, and the sides, if you consider, it's more like two fingers wide. All right, so that's the simple interpretation of the verse. However, he misinterprets it very badly. He misinterprets it as the pada meaning the root or something else. So it doesn't stand scrutiny. An honest person will conclude exactly what I said, that it recommends the vaDakalai tilaka only. And so I included it in the verifiable lies list. And another misinterpretation is the cobra mark. All right, so let us read it out. Kundalikrita sarpastha, kundalikrita sarpastha, haripadadvayakritim. So what is serpent like? Kundalikrita sarpastha haripadadvayakritim. So kundalikrita sarpastha padadvayakriti. So if kundalikrita sarpastha haripadadvayakritim, what does this mean? You look at a cobra. You see this? Let me see this. So does it look like 1 foot and 2 feet? Right? That's what it's being referred to here. 1 foot, 2 foot. So you see 2 feet joined in the middle. It's U-shaped, not Y-shaped at all. Any idiotic child can make out that this is being referred to there. See more closely here. And what is the significance of Kundalikrita? So when it raises its hood, the cobra is usually Kundalikrita. It is sort of it's laying on itself so that it can rise up like this. Let me see. Come on. Sorry, where did it go? Sorry, just a minute. So when the snake is like this, that's when you can see the hood, not usually when it's simply moving in a straight line or anything. So it should be like this. See, then it raises its hood, then you can see the feet like this. So what is this like? Is it like, let us look at some examples. So is it like this, or is it like the other pundra, like this? It obviously looks like this, right? And not like this. Please see here again, right? It's so clear. And even if this gentleman wants to argue it in some other way, haripadadvayakriti, it would still look like this. Kundalikrita sarpastha haripadadvayakriti. That's what I suppose this Prativadi Bhayankara aNNangarAchArya of kAnchI thinks. And then he does so much circus. The text lays down that the serpent must be a coiled one. Sure, I agree. Only when it is coiled you will see the hood. And it is said to be sarpastha, not phanastha. Of course, phana is not in the sarpa, is it? Phana is in the sarpa only. So sarpastha means phanastha only. It is seen on the hood. And serpent has to be placed on the nose and the feet upon the forehead and so on. So anyway, he tortures the text like anything just to make it say what it says. Whereas we say that yes, Pancharatra allows for both kind of akritis. And his point is that Deshika, Vedanta Deshika, was supposedly a Tenkalai. And you see that he has been forced, the tilaka, the Tenkalai tilaka, has been forced upon him in certain places. And he claims that this was the original tilaka worn by Vedanta Deshika, and therefore he was a Tenkalai. And all vaDakalais are novel innovations. Their practices are novel. The tilaka they wear is novel, and so on. So obviously he has to torture texts to make them say all, to make them support these absurd claims, which he even foists on Vedanta Deshika. So this I would register under a verifiable lie. And further, he claims that Deshika is Tenkalai. It is obviously false, and he pleads that he can't prove it in this text. So here's the statement: since this is rather a tough subject, it has to be dealt with at some length. So we have thought it fit to leave it out in this volume. We request the curious reader, however, to kindly refer to our the following books of ours, the Sanskrit and English editions of this book: rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra, Tenkalai Sampradaya, Brahma-vyapti Parishkriya, Lakshmi Tattva Nirnaya, and so on, so on, so on, so on. Anyone who has read Vedanta Deshika's texts know that he totally quotes and refutes some statements by Lokacharya and statements held by Tenkalais, ideas held by Tenkalais about Lakshmi's Anutva or Vibhutva, about the necessity to do prapatti, how it is not a mere state of mind or anything, it's a positive action, and so on. Quite a few disagreements. So even doctrine wise, it is a verifiable lie that Vedanta Deshika, the dismisser of Lokacharya, of Tenkalai views, was a Tenkalai. So absurd. So besides this, there are other things, such as supposedly there is a claim in his Sat Sampradayartha Saranidhi, which is a different text, and there he claims that ahobila-yati opposes Deshika. He was actually a Tenkalai initially. So what happened to Deshika being a Tenkalai, God only knows. Okay, so this, thanks to my friends who have accessed and are about to help publish Rahasyatraya Jivatu, it is false. He misquotes the reference number to the text and so on. So even that is a verifiable lie, another verifiable lie. And besides this, he makes bad inferences, very bad inferences. So one of this is regarding Venkatadhari. So Venkatadhari has written a satirical work, a really funny, enjoyable work called Vishwagunadarsha Champu, and it is very well known, as he notes. And he says that in his text, he says that the character sees some Tenkalai practitioners, and he says, Naisham nyaya ihadvijan vayadusham bhasha prabandhe shramo vede vishwapumartha sadhana vidhau padhadare jagrati. So he notes that it is not the character in Vishwagunadarsha Champu notes that it is not proper that these dvijas, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, particularly Brahmanas, who belabor themselves in Bhasha Prabandhas, obviously referring to the Divya Prabandhas, the Tamil Divya Prabandhas, the Vaishnava poems in Tamil, while ignoring the Vedas. And he makes a bad inference. This means that people who don't belong to this class don't study the Bhasha Prabandhas. It doesn't say that at all. So, it is their Shrama which is focused on Divya Prabandhas which is being criticized. It is not that others don't study Divya Prabandhas after having or along with studying Vedas, right? So this is so obvious. By the way, Venkatadhari was a Sri Vaishnava of the vaDakalai sect, and he claims that with this one can infer that okay, let me read it out. Under such circumstances, is it not true to say that at that time, the vaDakalais were unknown in any Divya Desham? So it doesn't make any sense at all. It is as if the people who don't do Vaishvadevam are also keen in Tamil Divya Prabandhams. So therefore, the people who do Vaishvadevam, they don't study the Tamil Divya Prabandhams. There is no such thing at all. This is one case of poor inference where Venkatadhari says that certain people who neglect Vaidika karmas like Nitya karmas like Vaishvadeva, they study Divya Prabandhas to the while neglecting the Vedas. It doesn't mean that there is not another class of people who do Nitya karmas, who study the Vedas, and beyond that who study Divya Prabandhas. So obviously this inference is invalid. He's not using his Nyaya properly. And similarly, he claims that there is some poor editing in an edition of something called Saptati Ratna Malika, written by his ancestor, who was ironically a disciple of Vedanta Deshika. However, poor editing is not malice, right? Some he quotes that they missed some letter, and he says, "Oh, do vaDakalai people have no vidvans that they edit a text so poorly?" Of course, there is an error. There can be an error in the editing. That doesn't mean that vaDakalai people, everything they do is a fake thing. It's an irresponsible thing or any such thing. He makes such an absurd conclusion, implication that just because in some edition of Saptati Ratnamalika the editing is poor, it means that the rAmAnuja-dayA-pAtra 2 is a forgery. Just because there is a error in Saptati Ratnamalika that it is not written by his ancestors, some weird thing, the product of a totally hateful and biased mind. So that's another bad inference. Another bad inference is he says that how come there are non-Tenkalai practices in the Vedeshas today? He says that it is just like the hardships the Devas have to undergo. Similarly, the Tenkalais have to undergo hardship in these modern times because of this troublesome bad vaDakalais and so on. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because the same argument can be turned around and made in favor of the other sect. They can ask, okay, how is it that ours is a genuine practice and we are getting so much trouble from these other people who misrepresent the Shastras, who don't practice their doctrine properly and so on. And they can say that oh, we are like the Devas who also face trouble sometimes. So it's an absurd argument. I don't know why he puts such things. And then he claims that certain Tanjore temples were converted from one sect to another sect, right? And how does that make sense? Let us see. So here's the thing. For example, two temples in Tanjore district, Tanjai Mamani Kovil and Tirukandiyur, which we had witnessed in Tenkalai in our 20th year, have been very recently converted to vaDakalai. This is a false statement. So this is what a friend, Revolution Iyengar, knowledgeable friend, says. Tanjai Mamani temples are under the management of the Tanjavur Maratha royals, the Bhosle family there, from the time of Shivaji's father, right? And they have 22 Vishnu temples under their management, of which a few are Tenkalai, the rest are vaDakalai. If they were changing the Kalai of temples, why did they leave out some to be Tenkalai? So it's an absurd. The inference is wrong. So it seems that this should be classed under verifiable lie. However, we are more charitable and say that the inference is poor. He did not collect data properly and did not infer properly. So it's a bold-faced baseless lie. That's what my friend clearly says. And then another case of bad inference is where he says Shriyanga Shriyam Vardhaya. He takes it to imply that Sriranga Shri, as it was in the earlier days, is continuing today under Tenkalai dominance. Therefore, it is the ancient state. Well, if that is your inference, I ask you, how come there are vaDakalai Archakas? How come the Archakas of Srirangam are vaDakalai? Do you have an answer? How come Nathamuni, Tirumangai Alvar, I think they have vaDakalai tilakas? How come Vedanta Deshika has vaDakalai tilaka? So you are admitting that the core functionaries of the temple and very important idols were vaDakalai only. So this is another case of poor inference. It is comical, as if instead of Prativadi Bhayankara, he should be called Prativadi Hasakara. And so how did Srirangam even become Tenkalai? It is based on misunderstanding of the completeness of a text called Kovil-Olugu, which was maintained by Tenkalai clerk or something. So otherwise it is not a proper historical evidence. The continuity of Srirangam temple is not a historical evidence in your favor, as you make it out to be, much to the amusement of people like me. And another bad inference is he claims that avoidance of desecrated Deshika Tenkalai shrines in certain temples he lists. Let us look at that. Okay, here it is. In many other Divyadeshas like Tiruvallikeni, Triplicate Madras, Sriperumbudur, Tiruvindalur, and so on, where the idols of Deshika within the main temple are worshipped duly, they are paid scant respect for them. They have paid scant respect for them and taken all the trouble to erect new shrines for the sole pleasure of reciting the new Patra verse. All this happened within the last 60 years or so. So the implication in this passage, if you read it, is that these sectarian people, they avoid these particular Deshika shrines within these temples because they are not allowed to say a verse in praise of that particular person. rAmAnuja-dayA-Patram Jnana-vairagya-bhushitam Srimad-Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta-deshikam. How can someone object to it? So stupid, no? Because devotees are forbidden from saying this, it is already a valid reason to avoid such temples which are not under the control of people who follow the philosophy of Vedanta Deshika. So Deshikas, so he makes it out to be that why have you discredited the original shrines of Deshikas by multiplying imitation ones, right? So the answer reply expressed or implied is why the original ideas of Deshika consecrated in the male temples were the Tenkalai mark and appear to feel jubilant over listening to taniyan Sri Shailesha-dayA-Patram. So how can an ideal express joy or sorrow on hearing a taniyan pertaining to some other person, Sri Shailesha-dayA-Patram or something, and being forced to wear a mark which is imposed on it by foul means. So the inference here that avoidance of these desecrated shrines to Deshika uh, is implies the Deshika's refusal to be adored in the vaDakalai way doesn't hold any water. It is a case of bad inference, bad arguments. So this work, Daya-Patra history, is filled with such flimsy arguments. It's filled with lies. That I'm so glad that he did not compose any significant work targeting other sampradayas, because that would make us laughing stock with such flimsy arguments. So besides verifiable lies, bad inferences, there are unverifiable slanders. There is so much of it. He just keeps blabbering some unverifiable thing after another. So one is that parAshara-Bhatta is an opponent of some unnamed vaDakalais. How can we verify this? How can we take this seriously? Isn't it stupid? Vedanta Deshika himself quotes parAshara-Bhatta, and Vedanta Deshika is held in very high regard by the vaDakalai sect. So if he says that some vaDakalais who he won't name consider parAshara-Bhatta to be opposed to their point of view, how can we believe him? And then he says that in Ahobilam, the Mathadipati's efforts were there to efface or remove the Tenkalai marks. This also doesn't make any sense because there is evidence to the contrary. However, where is the evidence for this? He just makes this up. Can I verify this slander by any means? No. The burden of proof is on him and he offers no proof whatsoever. And then there are selective quotes and twists, right? So he quotes testimony by Krishna Tatacharya, a very great scholar of the 19th century. He supposedly ordered his disciples to destroy the cement or mud Tenkalai mark on the shrine of Vedanta Deshika where he was born, which was put in a dilapidated state and locked up by the bad people controlling it, who happened to be Tenkalais. And he, having quoted his testimony that the people of Tenkalai sect are singing the prabandhas there with Sri Shailesha-dayA-Patram taniyan, he doesn't even mention the fact that in the same case and related cases, the Tenkalai objections have been dismissed and judgment has been made in favor of the vaDakalai control of the Vedanta Deshika idol, the markings on it, and so on. So it's a case of selective quoting and twisting. So he's being as dishonest here as he is in the case of verifiable lies, which may of course be attributed to some slippages, but the sheer number of these things makes one suspect if all this was deliberate. And then he claims that there were unnamed government orders which reveal Ahobila-Matha temple conversion in a place called Tiruvellur, right? And where is this government record? God only knows. And a court order to the contrary has not been quoted at all. So again, this is feeding some unverifiable information while hiding relevant information to the contrary. So he's twisting, selectively quoting and twisting. And then there is this person called Alagiya Manavala Muni and his role in kAnchI. He makes it sound as if this person is the Tirthakara or something of kAnchI Varadaraja temple, which is not the case. He was only there for a temporary period in collaboration with the Tatacharyas, maybe for a decade or so. Other than that, he has no role there actually. And besides this, I will show you one other thing where he badly mangles, badly twists a work he published of a great Acharya called Vishnu Chitta. Let me open it up, just a minute. So this is the Vishnu Chitta commentary on Vishnu Purana, where it is said, Nityaivaisha Jaganmata Vishno Shriranapayini Yatha Sarvagato Vishnus Tathaivyam Dvijottama. So the basic verse is clearly saying, just as Vishnu is Sarvagata, the same is the case of Lakshmi, identically so. As Vishnu is Vibhu, so is Lakshmi. So it is so clear, and that's how the Acharya comments. Sarvagato Vishnu yatha yat svabhavaha yamapi tatha. That's what Vishnu Chitta says. Tat svabhaveti Vishnoho sarvagatatva satya pratyagyanadi swarupa kalyana gunadinam atidesha. So atidesha is very simple. As you know, sarvadhatukam apit yetvat iti vyakarane vartate khalu. Tatra sarvadhatuke apiti yitvadesho bhavati, yitva atidesho bhavati. Tadrishameva atrapi lakshmyam vishnoho sarvagatatvadinam atidesho bhavati. Nama sapi tadrishyeva iti vachanam. It's so clear. That's what the Acharya says as well. Athva Bhagavan vibhutvena sarvagataha yamcha sarvagata, as in strilinga. Alright. So it's so clear. However, there is a twist here. There is a pathabheda found in some manuscripts but not in others, where it says Athva Bhagavan vibhutvena sarvagataha asyascha tachaktivashadhanutvepi tatra tatra sandhanat sarvagatatvam muktam yamcha sarvagata. So this portion, in the highlighted portion, is extraneously added in certain manuscripts. Honest editor should mention that this is not found in certain manuscripts, and you should put it in parenthesis or something like that, right? Like this. However, this person has not done so. Before he was even born, there were other editions where this Anutva thing is not mentioned in the commentary at all, which doesn't even go with the prior and succeeding shlokas. However, this person has, in his edition, he has included this section, this prakshepa, without any indication of doubt as to its veracity. So it is again a case of bad inference, very biased inference, as well as dishonesty. His works therefore have to be very carefully examined and compared with other editions and then studied. And the funny thing is, his own Acharya tradition, there is a person called Somya-Jamatramani, probably also called Devaraja, disciple of probably the Manavala Mamuni, who is their Vedanta Deshika, so to speak. And he has composed a works called Rahasyatraya Karikavali, which dismisses iti Shri Vishnu Chittaryayir Vyakhyanattuna sadhanam anyatha sarvagatasya jivepi pratipadanat. So it's as if his own tradition, ancient tradition, accepts our reading of Vishnu Chittiya only, not his reading. And therefore, this is also another uh, case of bad editing and dishonesty on part of Prativadi Bhayankara aNNangarAchArya of kAnchI of the 20th century. Now, besides this, there are other things which we need to check. For example, he claims that Madras Oriental Library, some manuscript doesn't have certain verse. It doesn't change anything. However, just to see if he's lying there or if he's saying the truth, one needs to check it up. However, one thing is to be noted is the extent of his hatred. Let me read out some things which he has written in this text. So he portrays a very revered vaDakalai sannyasi, periya parakAla Swami, as being a fraud, a cunning, manipulative person, which is not in good taste at all, based on no evidence. Well, I am saying that you are being fraudulent, you are making dishonest statements and so on, with clear evidence, without providing any evidence whatsoever. You have accused such a great person, parakAla-yati, of being manipulative, cunning, fraud, and you have addressed him in ekavachana very very badly. Very some people would find it disgusting. I know from one Acharya who used to respect Prativadi Bhayankaram aNNangarAchArya as a young boy. However, having read this work where he says one vaDakalai sannyasi, this vaDakalai sannyasi, and the sannyasi, in very, so this may not sound very bad in English, but in Tamil I suppose it would sound quite crude. Having read all this, so you see, Melukote sannyasi Swami. However, this is the sannyasi. You can see the difference in how he addresses. It is Melukote sannyasi Swami. This person is the sannyasi. So having seen how he addresses the parakAla-yati like this, some people were rightly disgusted with his hatred, blind hatred, without supporting evidence for a glorious good tradition. And similarly, he accuses ahobila-yati of unspeakable things like erasing Tirumans and so on. It doesn't make sense. You see, there is evidence on the contrary to there always having been vaDakalai signs in the shrine. Let me bring it up just a minute. Okay, this is a stone slab inscription. You can see the vaDakalai mark here, so clear. I don't see any evidence of erasure or manipulation or anything. The Surya Chandra, Shankha Chakra, and the Tiruman in the middle. Everything seems normal. It's ancient. There's evidence to the contrary, and yet he accuses the ahobila-yati, who belongs to the vaDakalai tradition, of forcibly taking over and changing temple traditions from Tenkalai to vaDakalai, and erasing the Tenkalai marks and so on. He claims that the Ahobila-Matha was in fact Tenkalai in the beginning, and then it silently converted, and then it forced the conversion on other people. It is nonsensical. And then he says, he finds this is the most pathetic statement I came across in this work. Let me look it up and read it. Okay. The Archakas who wear, this is about Sriranga Archakas, he says with glee, the Archakas who wear vaDakalai mark upon their foreheads cannot even dream of introducing any vaDakalai custom into the temple. This is rAmAnuja-dayA-Patra. They cannot prostrate before the god twice in the temple. It's the vaDakalai custom to prostrate before the god twice, not once. If they dare to do so, they are liable to be punished. He says this with such pride. How horrible. You can't prostrate twice before the god. You have to prostrate only once because it's not allowed in your sect. How horrible it is. Is there any shastra which says that you cannot prostrate twice to the god? And is this shastra accepted by the archakas, who are the ultimate ritual authorities in the temple? This is so bad. They cannot even dream of introducing any vaDakalai custom in the temple. So, having given dreams of introducing their customs in the temple they officiate, is this a positive thing? You are proud of this? Is this your unbiased nature, or are you showing your hatred quite openly here? And as a matter of fact, this was actually the case. However, the Srirangam Archakas, they challenged this stricture, and now they are free to prostrate twice in front of Bhagwan in Srirangam. And this is not the end of it. We hear that the Sthalatars of Srirangam kept a rule that Sri Vaishnavas inside the Sapta Parakarams, including vaDakalais, should recite the Sri Shailesha-dayA-patram, or they should allow only Tenkalais to recite Divya Prabandhams during even funerals in their private homes. So this is the kind of poor practice he endorses and he finds delight in. So this is the extent of hatred he shows in this work on Dayapatra history. Besides all the lies, verifiable lies, the bad inferences, poor arguments, unverifiable slanders, selective quotes and twists. And then he also proudly says, when the vaDakalais changed it, a big quarrel ensued, as a result of which Deshikas ceased to be taken out in procession along with other alvars and acharyas during the festivals, such as the famous Adhyayanotsava. So he is proud of the fact that Vedanta Deshika, Nammalvar, and some other alvars who have the vaDakalai mark on their foreheads in Srirangam, they are not allowed to participate in the Utsavas as they used to, just because of this one reason. So long as he wore the original Tenkalai mark, he enjoyed much pomp and splendor, all of which came to a full stop when the change of Kalai took place. So much so that he is now no better than the Archamurti or static idol. So he takes delight in such things, in saying such things, in restricting people's religious freedoms, in forcing bad practices on the disagreeable practices on the archakas and so on. So this is the kind of person that 20th century kAnchI prativada-bhayankara aNNangarAchArya, or I should say prativadi-hasakara aNNangarAchArya was. Why did he do this? Let us quote his own statement. Okay, are there no Pandits in the, let us change it a little, Tenkalai sect? If there are, do they not recognize all these awful blunders which I have just listed? All these lies, bad arguments, open display of hatred and so on. Why? The Pandits there are many, we agree, and they certainly know the truth. Yes, but alas, as Sri rAmAnuja-dayA Swami has pointed out, bigotry makes even a learned person err. So this applies to you, Sri Prativadi Bhayankara aNNangarAchArya. You have turned yourself into a Prativadi Hasakara aNNangarAchArya, unlike your illustrious ancestor who was a disciple of Vedanta Deshika and his son. It is very unfortunate. We don't intend, as you said in the beginning, in the preface, to hurt your feelings or anything. You welcome it, in fact. We just want to speak the truth because it is important, as you say, to know the truth. Our purpose is not to hurt their feelings but only express the truth. We repeat this because an occasion has arisen. I forgot another case. He mentions his bigotry is where he claims that these vaDakalais should bid goodbye to this imitation patra verse, rAmAnuja-dayA-Patram Jnana-vairagya-bhushanam Srimad-Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta-deshikam, which was invented with the definite idea of causing trouble, creating trouble. So this is the kind of attitude he has, and he invites correction. Upon reading all this, blah blah blah, we request them to kindly note that the use of abusive language is no reply to the solid arguments supplied by us. Your so-called solid arguments have not met with abusive language from me. They have been countered by rational arguments which are befitting of great vaDakalai Pandits you endorse, like Srimad Koliyalam Swami, who can write good works without having to resort to abusive language. So we have fulfilled your wishes and corrected your errors. We appreciate you very much, your later dedication to Adhyayana and Adhyapana. With these disclaimers, we thank you again. Hope this was useful for some people, because people sometimes have hero worship. They think that just because Prativadi Bhayankara aNNangarAchArya of the 20th century was a great genius, that whatever he says should be taken as gospel and so on. It is not the case. He has made many errors. He has misled people. It should not be forgotten. It should be forgiven but not forgotten. It should be corrected. How does one genius come to this? It's because of bigotry. As long as you welcome errors, as he does, but not sufficiently. He only says it in words, but he did not act on it in spirit. He as long as one says my Acharya is correct no matter what, is going to end up in this ditch. It is not to be done. Rather, one should say that, okay, I am a rational person, I am pramana paratantra. Whatever the pramana says, I accept. If pramana says that my Acharya or his Acharya was wrong, I will gladly accept that. So that if that is the spirit, you won't fall into this kind of ditches. So with that, I conclude this. Namo Namaha.